Earth Defense Force 4.1 is a sequel in the long line of third-person shooters based around shooting giant insects. It's a series that I assumed was fairly well known among gamers, but recent experience has shown me that there are people who had no idea what this game was until they stumbled upon it during the Steam Christmas sale. So this review will start off with a little history lesson. Back in the PS2 days, there was a line of Japanese budget games called the Simple 2000 series. These were games made on the cheap and sold for 2,000 yen. Most of these were typical crap, you know, mahjong games, sports games, rip-offs of already popular games, stuff like that. But with the lower budgets, it meant that they could take some creative risks. The result was some weird stuff like Demolition Girl, where you're a helicopter pilot and have to distract a giant woman that's attacking a city. Zombie vs. the Ambulance, which is basically the ambulance mode from GTA 3, but in a city filled with zombies. One Chambra, where you play as a woman in a bikini and a cowboy hat chopping up zombies with a katana, and of course, Earth Defense Force. EDF was a hit and thus it spawned many sequels and even got a budget. They grow up so fast. The gist of the game is that the world has been invaded by giant insects, mostly ants, that are going around eating people, chewing on the buildings and generally being a pain in the arse. You take on the role of a soldier from the EDF, tasked with putting an end to this threat. And off-the-shelf fly spray isn't going to do it, especially when giant robots and spaceships turn up. I picked up the PC version during the Steam Christmas sale. I own it on 360 already. While £18 is a lot for a game that's on Steam sale, EDF earns its price tag not just in fun but in terms of content. As mentioned, the game is a third-person shooter and there's giant insects. A lot of them. Dozens if not hundreds swarming on screen at once. Levels often take place in cities that will often end up almost completely flattened either by the oversized monsters or by the EDF's use of explosive weapons. In order to control the infestation, you have your choice of 4 classes, each of which play dramatically different to the point where it's almost like a different game. The Ranger is your bog standard shooter guy, armed with 2 guns and a commando role. While he's the easiest to use and arguably the most versatile, he's by no means the weakest, able to bring the PN with a large variety of guns. Machine guns, shotguns, rocket launchers, flamethrowers, grenades and the like. The Wing Diver is the agility based character. She's equipped with a jetpack and various high-tech laser and plasma guns. However, not only does she have less armor than the other classes, but her weapons and jetpack all pull from the same recharging power meter. The Air Raider has arguably the least powerful weapons, but his main thing is being able to call in vehicles and airstrikes. I'm talking tanks and artillery strikes that can level city blocks. And that's just at the start. As you progress, you get access to satellite weapons, bombing runs, motorbikes and mechs, both single-seater and multi-man. Finally, there's the Fencer, a guy in bulky power armor. He's the heavy of the group, able to dual-wield miniguns and handheld artillery cannons and giant hammers. But while at first he seems slow and difficult to use, the Fencer can become a powerhouse with a bit of knowledge and practice. For example, equipping a melee weapon and a shield gives you access to a quick dash and a shield bash respectively. But by using the quick dash and then cancelling the recovery animation with the shield bash, you can zip around the map. Likewise, careless use of weapons with lots of recoil or long spin-up times can leave you in a bad situation, but they can really bring the pain if used correctly. The game also has elements of a loot game. Enemies drop crates when killed. These can be either health, armor or weapon crates. Armor permanently increases your maximum health, while weapon crates give you weapons depending on the mission and difficulty. While you can change classes between missions and jump around and replay any mission you've unlocked, the game seems to be designed for you to play through normal, then hard, then harder and so on, using the weapons and armor you gained from the previous difficulty. For that reason, it's kind of in your best interest to pick a class early on and stick with it throughout the campaign. The game does a lot of things well: shooting, sound effects, balance. At first, some of the weapons seem obviously superior to others, but then other people swear by what I consider to be underpowered weapons and vice versa. One impressive thing is the way the game has a sense of skill and succeeds at keeping it. Most games with large enemies or vehicles can feel a bit like toys, but EDF feels big most of the time. The game isn't perfect though. I didn't like how often the air raider gets screwed over, with some missions taking away air support for plot reasons, such as having to go underground, or other missions not having enough cannon fodder to recharge them, as the air raider recharges his air supports by getting kills. Loot drops are also inconsistent from mission to mission depending on how the level's set up. The most consistent issue though was bodies. Most things ragdoll when destroyed, and they block your shots, movement, and in some cases the camera. Bodies don't hang around long enough to look cool after a fight, but they do last long enough to be a pain in the backside. This is most noticeable in the underground tunnel missions, where the way forward is basically blocked by a wall of corpses constantly being refilled by the wave of insects behind trying to push through. Blowing yourself up or being unable to dodge an incoming attack because of said bodies is less common, but it does seem to happen. But despite these rough edges, the game has a certain something that's hard to describe, but noticeable. Call it whatever you like, passion, care, even soul. Whatever it is, I get the impression that the people that worked on this game cared about what they were making and had fun doing it. A great example of what I mean is the singing. There's a quick chat menu that brings up a bunch of preset things to say, stuff like thanks, sorry, help, etc. But in those options is the option to sing the first line of a song. It's not uncommon for people to start singing the song online and for other players to join in. Not only that, but sometimes NPCs following you also seem to join in. The point is, someone took the time not only to write these songs, but put them in the game and program the NPCs to join in. This isn't the kind of feature that's included because market research says it will increase the average Metascore by 1.4%. Someone put in the work to include this feature because it's funny. After 65 hours with the game, I think I'm close to having had my fill with EDF. I've completed the single player campaign with the Ranger and have most of the missions done in co-op with the Air Raider. But it's worth noting there's still a lot I could be doing in the game, trying the high difficulties, playing different classes and so on. If any of what I've said sounds interesting to you, I recommend trying it. I also have the Western-made predecessor spin-off, Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon, but I think that can wait a while because, well, I want a bit of a palate cleanser before I jump into that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye!